to start?
Oh, it's an essay! It's got a beginning, a middle, and an end!
No, we can't give you guys too much, but no, we talk like we're on good terms. Yeah, do you want to add?
Yeah, no, we're in a good place with it. Like, yeah, there's a...
Hey there, thanks for stopping by to Girl Valerie. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island, the reunion. So the reunion starts off with everybody going back to the UK. Obviously, the show is over and their families are there. They're ecstatic to see them and they're all happy that they've come out victorious. For Jess's family, Jess is saying that she can't believe that she actually won. And I think a lot of people share the same sentiment. Lochan's mom is excited because apparently she really likes Whitney, and it's nice to see everybody there. Molly's family all obviously are going to be corny. They have the matching t-shirts with the names of Molly and Zachariah, which is cute though. And you also have Tyrique and Ella. Tyrique and Ella seem to be in a very good place. They seem very happy. They're now boyfriend and girlfriend and they're in love. So everything good is great. And then we have the little segments that they show. So the first segment was Zach and Molly, sort of Zach going to meet Molly's family and sort of, the granddad, her mom and dad, her siblings. And the sister had to get him to do a little TikTok, which I think is their thing. That's what apparently Molly does. People used to post them when she was on the show. What do I think? I think it was cute. You could see that it was all produced. It wasn't organic. It wasn't spontaneous. It was the producers telling them, right, now let's go and meet this person. Let's meet Molly's friends. I really didn't get the gist of the conversation because there was nothing substantial that was said. Apart from one of the friends said Zach is fit and he's good looking. They thought Molly and Zach worked very well as a team. I didn't really see much of their relationship on the show, so I cannot comment to that. I remember I used to say that I don't understand them because every single time you see them, they're just sitting there doing nothing. So I don't know. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. And then they then obviously meet Molly's granddad and grandma, and they are ecstatic to meet Zach. Obviously, Molly's parents met Zach, and they're happy. I think it was all very corny and very, I don't know, for lack of a better word, very produced and very polished is what I mean. That there was nothing there to say. It seemed as though people were reading off a script. It didn't seem very organic. When they sat down with Maya, obviously they said, we are ecstatic that we're back home and we're now getting to live our lives. And, they were asked about the distance and Zach said, we'll take it day by day. Molly was very anxious about that comment. I think to her, she knows that Zachariah might not be all in. So she was anxious about that comment. And for me personally, I don't think Zachariah is ready to sort of settle down or to be the type of guy that Molly needs. He is trying, but I don't think he's it. So we'll see what happens with them. And then we saw Catherine and Scott. Well, it was first Ella and Catherine, and they immediately sort of squashed the rumor that they are dating. They said we are friends. We agreed a long time ago that we would be friends. Apparently, it seems before they left the show, they had already agreed to be friends. They had already agreed that there was nothing romantic there. So they were just going to be friends and continue as that. And that was cute to see. And then they talked about Scott and Catherine. Scott and Catherine are being very coy. Scott and Catherine know that they are the fan favorites. That didn't win. And so for them, I don't think even if they're dating or they're not dating, they would come out and say we're not dating per se. I think they would want to sort of dance around the topic for as long as they can to try and keep the fans interested, because the more they stay together, the more likely they're going to make more money. That's the impression that I get. So they'll get more endorsement deals. Apparently there was a post of them in Times Square in America. So I don't know. There is a possibility that they could actually work. I think they complement each other. I think the problem is the edit that Catherine got. That might have left a bad taste in Scott's family's mouth. If that were my brother, if that were my son, I would feel some type of way for him to then tell me that he wants to date the person who spoke to him like that. It would take a lot of convincing on my part to get me on board with that relationship. So I don't know. I don't know how Scott's family feel about the relationship, and I don't know how Catherine's family as well feel about the relationship, let alone, I know the viewers are really keen on this relationship and they're really pushing for it. So we'll see how that happens. We'll see what happens. And then you have Ty and Ella. Ty and Ella, they went go-karting, which looked producer-driven as well. But But then after that, they then met with Ella and Ty's mom and families. And the mothers are ecstatic. They are saying they are now besties. So I don't know. And Ty's friends as well were ecstatic because they thought Ty fell in love. They recognized it as soon as they saw him when Ella came back from Casa. So Ty and Ella sit down with Mahajama and they sort of discuss where they're heading to, because apparently they spoke about moving in together once they're on the outside. And so they do agree that they are planning on moving in together. Things are very hectic at the moment, which makes sense because they've just come out. They need to do a lot of press to promote the show. They need to, they might be getting some offers, so they will have to meet up with people, agents, and stuff. So that does make sense. Um, Ty obviously addresses the issue that people say they were bickering quite a lot in the villa, but now that they're out, at least they have their own personal space, which I think is the best thing anyway, because in the villa, you have nowhere to go. If you're clashing with someone, you're always on top of one another. It's not like you can take a time out. If you take time out, they're still within your line of vision. So it's not like you can completely shut them down or you can remove yourself from that situation that's stressful and go to a neutral environment. So I understand him saying that maybe on the outside they stand. Well, I think they stand a better chance. Do I think they'll work? I don't know. They did talk about Ty going to Scotland. I think it's important that he goes to Scotland. I think I got a more sort of concrete response from Ty and Ella than I did from Zachariah and Molly. Zachariah and Molly make me nervous because I don't think there is. Zachariah and Molly make me nervous because it seems very sort of shaky, in the sense that there's a possibility they'll work, there's a possibility they won't work, and chances are 60% they won't work and 40% they will work. Whereas with Ty and Ella, they seem to be sort of taking things slow, they seem to be understanding where they are, and they seem to be genuinely invested in their relationship, both 50% each. So I think there is a possibility that they can move in together and they can give it a good go. I don't know how long that relationship will last. Their mothers, I think, are already thinking of marriage and bridesmaids and grandchildren and stuff. So I don't know. And then we had Whitney and Lochan. Obviously, they met their sisters and then they went and they met with Locham's friends. Um, Whitney and Lockham are another couple that have made me a bit nervous during the show, because I always wanted Whitney with Maddie. I thought Maddie was more it for Whitney than Lochan, but apparently, according to Whitney, she's happy. She even gave a gesture like she's waiting for a ring and stuff, and it's like, I don't think so. Yes, Lochan said he's taking his time and he will ask Whitney at some point to be his girlfriend. But at the moment, he's just, taking things nice and slow, and you'll see where things go from there. And it's like, okay. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What I found very strange was the fact that Whitney seems to have some sort of, I don't know whether it's beef, but there seems to be some sort of tension between Whitney and Maddie, because Whitney has previously said that she's not interested in getting in touch with Maddie, or she's moving on from Maddie. So she was asked, "Have you met up with Maddie?" And she said no. And Maddie said, I said I was waiting for her, but I can see that she gets along very well with Lochan, so I am happy for them and I want them to give it a good go. So I will take a step back. And I have no beef with her. But Whitney was like, well, if you're in the villa and you're coupled up with someone, that doesn't mean you're a couple. It's just, you're just coupled to be there. So I don't know. I don't care. And it's like, I think that's not it. I think that's not it. I think given the fact that she cried after Maddie left, did she cry because Maddie was frustrating her or what? So is she saying she was pretending to be in a relationship with Maddie to stay on the show? I didn't like that. I think her PR group should have taught her better. All she should have said is, I'm so sorry, I've been busy since I came back. I haven't had an opportunity to sit down with Maddie. I would love to meet with Maddie, even just on a friendship basis, just to say hi and catch up, because we did go through part of this experience together, and I think it's important for us to maintain a relationship. That's all she should have said, not to say, I don't care. I don't care comes across as smug or as better than, and this is the problem she's been having, in the sense that she's already been called smug. She doesn't want to give people ammunition to just continue with that, but that's just my opinion. So next up is Mitch, Ella B, and B, and that was going to be toxic. However, whichever way you split it, it was going to be toxic, because Abby then, well, Ella B was asked, how do you feel about me saying you're fake and then giving you a kiss? And she said, well, I've forgiven him and I understand at the time it looked very intense, but when you're outside and you've had time to reflect, it's not as bad as it looks. So they were happy with that. And then they say they're doing very well. Ella B said she's been to Sheffield, she's met Mitch's family, and they seem to all get along. So they're in a good place, and they are now exclusive, which is amazing. And so, because I remember Katie was saying that apparently Mitch was saying he wants to be the most memorable character from Love Island. So maybe he's stopped being messy and he's actually in a better place himself. And then Abby was asked, "How do you feel, about Mitch and the way he handled the situation?" And she says, "Well, I feel that my connection with him was stronger than his connection with Ella B." And it's like, we need to move on. It's time to move on, because you're still sounding as though you still care and you're still feeling some type of way. It's past that. You need to move on, and you need to look at a brighter future, and leave Mitch and whatever mess is in at the moment, because it comes across bitter. It does come across bitter. And for all those that said Scott didn't give her enough time, I wouldn't have given her time if I knew she was still stuck on someone. So I commend Scott for being honest and ending things, because she's not over Mitch, and it's going to take her time to get over Mitch. She needs to go to counseling. She's got attachment issues, in my opinion. I'm not a mental health practitioner, neither am I a psychiatrist, but I think she's got attachment issues, in the sense that she's become so attached to Mitch. She'll need help to sort of detach herself from that situation, because by now, a week later or 2 weeks later, someone would expect her to sort of start untangling herself. But it seems she's still hooked onto Mitch, and she still wants answers that Mitch is not going to give her. And I give him credit for being the bigger man, because he said, he's really not there, and he's not going to entertain that or say anything about it, because she said, "Oh, I've been gaslit by a gas engineer," and it's like, that's a bit below the belt. You don't need to do all that. It didn't work. That's fine. Heal yourself and move on. You don't need to continue to pull him down. Anyway, and then we have Jess and Sammy meet up with their families, and I think Jess's mom still feels some type of way. I think Jess's mom still feels some type of way. The thing is, apparently Sammy and Jess already knew each other before they went into the villa. So that relationship, I don't rate it the same way I rate other relationships, because there's already a foundation there, whether they were friends or whether they were just acquaintances. But at least they were familiar with one another, and they built on that familiarity. Whereas everybody else was a stranger, and they had to build from the ground up. They then met, because Sammy asked Jess's mom, "So do I get the green light? Do you approve?" And it's like, you don't need to ask for it. They just need to give it to you. You asking for it means that you haven't really got it. They're just saying it because the cameras are there and they just want peace of mind. But they're not saying it because that's a genuine feeling that they have. So if I were you, I would just sit down and wait and see how you go, and then take it from there. And then they met up with Jess's friends and his friend and Sammy's friends. And it's like, because I don't know. Jess's friends, I think, were coached by Jess on what to say and what not to say, because they started going in on Sammy, and then suddenly they said, "Oh, but we've given you a green light." And it's like, tell the truth. If you have questions for him, ask him the questions then. If you know that he didn't have your friend's best interest at heart, he said some of the worst things ever, pull him up on it. Pull him up on it. Don't let it slide, because at the end of the day, you're just because you said some of the most terrible things about your friend. Don't let it slide. Call him out on it and let him answer for himself. Because at the end of the day, if he's able to convince her friends, then he'll be able to convince the nation. Because apparently someone was saying that Jess is going on social media and she's having back and forth with fans, sort of saying we do have a connection, trying to convince people about this connection that she has with Sammy. And it's like, you don't need to convince people. People will just see it and they'll appreciate it for what it is. The problem is you're constantly trying to convince everyone, and the way Sammy's behaving is not doing himself any credit. Every time he's asking people to say, "Do you approve? Do you approve?" People don't need to approve your relationship. As long as the two of you are happy, that's what matters. I don't know whether these people did not receive any media training, or it's just because of anxiety, because they're all over the place. They're not answering questions properly, and at times they're too emotional, because especially with Sammy and Jess, given the fact that they're the winners, you'd have expected them to bring their A game to the to the reunion and be on it. Every time they ask questions, they'll ask, "What's the next step?" Or, "We're taking it one day at a time," or, "We're this." They were very vague. I can foresee them. If they stay together, they'll only stay together the way Ekansu and Davide stay together for the money. I don't think they're going to stay together because they're romantically involved. I think they'll stay together for the money and milk it for as long as they can. And then once that dries up, they will break up. I don't see them having a relationship that leads to marriage or children or whatever, or even a proposal. If they do it, it's because it's of some sort of financial benefit. That's what I see. Anyway, the Grafters are announced, and Molly and Katie won. I think this was producer driven. They wanted the drama, so they decided that where shall we go? And they knew there was already Katie saying a lot of stuff on podcasts. So Zach, spoke on their behalf, because I think Molly wanted to rise above and just say, when they go low, we go high. So Zach was saying, there are people who are going around on podcasts, are going around and saying things behind people's backs. I don't say anything behind people's backs. I don't think it's necessary to say something behind somebody's back, and you need to keep Molly and my name out of your mouth, more or less. And Katie's being petty. She's being petty. And I think she's doing this because she's realized that people criticized her on the show that she didn't live up to what they were expecting. So she's trying to get the hype. Now she's out of the show because she said, oh, enjoy your 15 minutes. And it's like, you had 15 minutes, waited a couple of years and came back for another 15 minutes. You are the one who's doing the most. You really are doing the most. And I don't know why she wasn't actually called out. I don't know why they didn't get all the islanders to address their issues with her, because apparently she's been saying a lot of crap on podcasts, and people like Whitney, Catherine, Scott were planning on addressing the issues with her. She's had a comment about every single islander, it seems, more or less. Apparently, Katie and Uzi are still dating. They say that they are making it work with the distance. It's 1 hour flight from Scotland, and also Uzi is going to meet Katie's dog and mum. And it's like, she's already met your. Oh, did she not meet his mum? Were they sent home before the? Yeah, okay. So she's going to meet his mum, and they're excited about that. And it's like, okay, yeah, it is what it is. And then you have Leah and Montel. Leah and Montel were never going to work. They were a relationship of convenience. There was nothing substantive in regards to their conversations. They were just enjoying themselves and doing whatever naughty stuff they were doing. It wasn't like they had a romantic connection whereby they were emotionally invested. So I am not surprised they broke up. I'm not surprised they broke up. It was just a matter of time for them to break up. There didn't seem to be anything substantial there. I think he had a better connection, as he said, with Ting, but he decided to stay with Leah because he thought his chances of winning or staying on the show longer were with Leah, not knowing that Ting would have been a better connection for him. But I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. I think he had a better connection with Ting. And also, it seems there's a lot more to their breakup. He just said, when we came out of the villa, everything was different. But I think there was a lot more. She tried to hint that it had to do with Casa and whatever. And it's like, well, after Casa, you said you forgive him. How can you then come out and say, oh, no, Casa's the reason why I couldn't? There was lack of trust. Make it make sense. Don't continue to go on about something that doesn't make sense. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye, everyone.